This is The Space Shot, episode 317 for March 27th, 2018. Mariner 7 and the James Webb Space Telescope slips to 2020. I'm John Mulnix. Mariner 7 launched on March 27th, 1969. Its destination, Mars. After a multi-month cruise, Mariner 7 arrived at Mars on August 5th, 1969. The spacecraft flew by the planet, making its closest approach, taking pictures and gathering data before speeding past the planet. Mariners 6 and 7 were identical spacecraft, and they were launched within a month of each other, and they completed the first dual mission to the Red Planet. These spacecraft flew over Mars's equator and South Pole and analyzed, quote, atmosphere and surface with remote sensors, as well as recording and relaying hundreds of pictures. By chance, both flew over cratered regions and missed both the giant northern volcanoes and the equatorial Grand Canyon that was discovered later. In addition to imaging Mars, they also carried infrared spectrometers, radiometers, and ultraviolet spectrometers that sent back a wealth of data on the Red Planet. Now I've got a launch update and some James Webb Space Telescope news. Just a few days ago, SpaceX conducted a static fire for the Falcon 9 rocket that will be carrying the next flight of Iridium satellites into orbit. In a tweet just a few moments ago at the time of recording this episode, Matt Desch, CEO of Iridium, stated that the launch is now scheduled for no earlier than March 31st. If the launch ends up being this Saturday, it will take place around 7:08 a.m., according to a later tweet from Desch. The launch is still scheduled to take place at Vandenberg Air Force Base. I'll be sure to share the link to the SpaceX webcast page online and in the podcast show notes, so be sure to check those out. SpaceX is still looking at having an incredibly busy 30-day period in April, with at least 4 to 5 more launches possible during the month. I've got a bit of sad news for all of us that have been waiting for the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. NASA announced today that, quote, Webb's previously revised 2019 launch window is now targeted for approximately May 2020. The extra time is needed to perform more testing and evaluation on the spacecraft before it launches. Extensively testing the James Webb Space Telescope is crucial since there are currently no ways to service the spacecraft should something happen after launch. Unlike the Hubble Space Telescope, JWST will be parked almost 1 million miles from Earth, so it's not just as easy as launching into a low or medium Earth orbit to repair a telescope, should something go awry after launch. In the coming years, quote, the spacecraft's element will undergo environmental testing, subjecting it to the vibrational, acoustic, and thermal environments it will experience during its launch and operations. These tests will take a few months to complete. Engineers will then integrate and test the fully assembled observatory and verify all components work together properly. As much as I'm ready to see JWST launch and begin operations, taking some extra time for testing is a sound idea since the spacecraft has cost $8 billion at this point, with the very likely potential for exceeding that price tag by the time the satellite launches. No matter what the case is, I'm excited for the incredible science that's going to be brought back by this telescope. I'm linking to a few resources on the telescope in the show notes, so be sure to check them out. Lastly, before I go today, I've got some pop culture. The Star Trek Enterprise episode Acquisition aired on March 27th, 2002. A crew of Ferengi marauders incapacitated the Enterprise and her crew, and then boarded the ship. The Ferengi in this episode were played by actors that have appeared in numerous episodes of Star Trek across multiple series, from Neelix on Voyager to Weyoun from Deep Space Nine. Give it a watch and have a good laugh. It's a very fun episode.
Where is the vault? Do you understand me?
I can't lock onto its language.
It's a lower life form, you fool. Probably the captain's next meal.
Don't be so sure. Look at the size of its ears.
I could get several bars of Latin for this creature at the Malorzian Zoo.
I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. I appreciate each and every one of you that listen to the podcast every day. Since you're here and I've got your ear, give me 30 seconds of your time. I'd be incredibly grateful if you could share the podcast with your friends and family. Tag one of them and let them know about your favorite episode. I'd also really appreciate it if you could venture into the Apple Podcasts app or your podcast app of choice and leave a review for The Space Shot. A steady stream of reviews helps ensure The Space Shot is more visible in the Apple Podcasts app. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or check out the links in the show notes and you'll find me. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.